Hello students, welcome to our discussion of Chapter 8, where we look at project management. It's going to be a series of 3 videos within this chapter. First video is going to look at just identifying what we refer to as the critical path activities and project time. The second video is going to look at when we introduce probability times. And the third one is what happens when we try to shorten the total project time, what needs to be done in that situation. So project management is identifying various activities to complete a certain project. So project planning uses this extensively. The process that we're going to use is called the CPM method, and PERT, CPM, the critical path method, or PERT stands for the Project Evaluation and Review Technique. So we're going to first identify the critical path, then we're going to look at how to evaluate and review that process. So there's a couple different ways to identify the critical path, identify those activities on the critical path, and to identify the project completion time. What we're going to use is called the activity on node method, where we have nodes or circles representing different activities and branches from activity to activity showing precedent relationships. I've developed a blend of different methods which I think displays better. So let's look at an example. Here's an example for a project. We're going to build a house. This project is only 7 activities. Now, in real situations, this activity would have pages and pages and pages of different activities. But the process is going to be the same in terms of how to identify the critical path and the project time. So each activity has a predecessor, which activities have to come before it, and it has the total duration time. One of the questions that we ask ourselves within project management is, how long does this project take? We cannot simply just add up these months here, and we're going to get 12 months. We cannot just add up the time for each activity and use that for our project completion time, because some of these activities can happen at the same time. So what we're going to do is, I'm going to go into Jamboard. I have this activity here, and we're going to first of all draw out the activity. We're going to be drawing out activities or projects throughout this chapter quite extensively. And I'm going to show you how to identify the critical path and how to identify the project completion time. So let's start off with drawing out our activity first, our project. So the first activity we're going to list right there, that's our node, branches off to activity 2. As well, activity 3 happens after activity 1, which basically means that activity 2 and 3 can happen at the same time. Now if we look at the next activity, activity 4, building the house, happens after 2 and 3 are done. So we're going to go like this. There's activity 4. Activity 5, selecting the paint, also happens after activity 2 and 3. So we're going to draw this kind of node with different branches again. Activity 6, kind of going in order, happens after activity 5. And then the last activity, finishing the work, happens after activity 4 and 6. And there's activity 7. So that is our diagram. Now, what we should be able to identify here are different pathways. I'm just going to write them over here. Different pathways. We have activity 1 going to activity 2, 4, and 7. We have activity 1 going to activity 4 to activity 5, then 6 and 7. We have activity 1 going through activity 3, going up to 4, over to 7, and then 1 to 3 to 5 to 6 to 7. There's 4 different activities and pathways within this project. One of these pathways is going to be critical. The activities not on that critical path would be defined as being non-critical. So let's first of all identify the critical path. We're going to do this in red. So what we're going to enter in red is the earliest start and earliest finish time. Let's just do this. And here is the node with the number within that. I'll just use 1 for that. So activity 1 basically starts at the beginning, month 0, lasts for 3 months. Activity 2 means it has to happen after activity 1. So we got activity 2 starting. The earliest start time is the number in the upper left corner. Earliest time that activity 2 can start is month 3, and it goes for 5 months. Activity 3 needs to happen after activity 1, so the upper left number, the earliest start number, is month 3, and it goes for 1 month. Now we have activity 4 going in order here. Activity 4 has to happen after both activities 2 and 3 are done. So it cannot start, the earliest start cannot be 4 months, because activity 2 is not finished until month 5. So the earliest start number we use for an activity with more than two or more predecessors is going to be the highest number. Activity 4 lasts for 3 months. Activity 5, very similar to activity 4, so we know that activity 5 starts on month 5, it lasts for 1 month. Activity 6 needs to happen after activity 5, so we have month 6 to month 7, and then activity 7 needs to occur after both activities 4 and 6 are done. So the earliest they can start is when all activities before it are completed. So we look at the biggest number, and it lasts for 9 months. So what we have determined here is the project time. Let's put it like this. The project time equals 9 months. So the top numbers that we've drawn out, the earliest start, earliest finish, gives us our project time. Let's switch this to blue, because right now what we need to identify is the critical path. We've identified one of the elements within this first unit, the project time. So to identify the critical path, we work backwards. So go to your very last activity and enter the project time on the bottom right. What we're entering here is the latest finish and the latest start time. So the latest activity 7 can finish by without increasing the project time is month 9. The latest they can start is, 1 month earlier, because activity 7 takes 1 month. Working backwards, you can look at activity 6. Activity 6, when can it actually finish by? We're going to start on the bottom right number here. When can it actually finish by is month 8, because it needs to finish in time for activity 7 to have the latest start time of month 8. Activity 6 takes 1 month, so there's a 7. Let's work on activity 6 or activity 5. The latest it can finish is just enough time for activity 6 to start on month 7. So activity 5, the latest finish is month 5. It lasts for 1 month. So that starts with, the latest they can start is month 6. Let's look at activity 4. The latest they can finish, this bottom right number, is just enough time for activity 7, going forward here, to start. The latest they can start is month 8. So the latest activity 4 can finish is also month 8. It goes for 3 months. So we have 5. Now we got the bottom right numbers for activities 2 and 3. Activity 2, when is the latest it can finish by in order for activity 4 and activity 5 to start with in reference to those blue numbers. Well, activity 5 or activity 2 needs to finish. The latest it can finish is month 5 because activity 4 needs to start on month 5 for this latest time. So activity 2 takes 2 months. There's a 3 as the latest finish or latest start. For activity 3, same thing, similar to activity 2, the latest it can finish is just in enough time for activity 4 to start. So the latest finish for activity 3 is month 5. It works for 1 month. We have month 4 there. Activity 3, the latest it can finish is just enough time for activity 2 to start. If activity 1 finished as the latest time of month 4, activity 2 needs to start at month 3. So for activity 1, we have a 0 there. What we have identified is the critical path. The critical path are those activities where the top numbers in red and the bottom numbers in blue are the same. So we have a critical path, let's highlight this in green, being right here. The top numbers, bottom numbers are the same. So our critical path is 1, 2, 4, and 7. We can look at activity 3. It has a difference. The red numbers and the blue numbers, difference of 1. Activity 5 and activity 6, a difference of 1. So what we can identify here is the activities and the slack. So activity 3, 5, and 6 have a slack of 1. The slack basically is how much time those activities can be delayed without increasing the project time. So activity 3 could be delayed by 1 month. We're still going to finish the project within 9 months because there is some slack built into that activity. Whereas we cannot delay activities 1, 2, 4, or 7 without increasing the project completion time. So that is our first section of project management.